Hi, Julia Watts here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to make a tag or a bookmark using the new Crescent Top Layering Dies from Sentimentally Yours and some of the Floral Curios stamps. I'm also going to be using one of the stamps from the Sunflower Parade collection as well. You can find all the products that I'm going to be using today on my website, juliawattscrafts.co.uk, for shipping to UK addresses. And you'll also find them at Honeypot Crafts too. Okay, so let's crack on. So to begin with, what we're going to do is, these are the dies, by the way. These are your Crescent Top Layering Dies, which have just been released. And they're only available at the moment from Sentimentally Yours and from my website, so from Honeypot Crafts and my website. And you get 5 different sizes of tag. You get an inner and an outer for each size, and you also get another die that cuts the reinforcer rings for all 5 of the holes that are punched in the outer die. But first we're going to do some stamping. So we're going to use the Sunflower Parade Enchanting background stamp, which is an A6 background stamp. I have a few of these left if you want one of those. And I popped mine onto a Sentimentally Yours A6 thin acrylic block. And we're going to do a bit of a twofer, because I actually want my background for my tag to be nice and light. So it doesn't really matter which one we do, I don't think. Which one's the biggest? Is your biggest one? No, they're exactly the same size, which is absolutely fine. So let's see, if I do it that way, it's not going to be quite big enough. So you have to do it this way. I'm using Morning Mist Versafine Clair. Lots of tapping to get it inked up. Obviously you can use a stamping platform as well, but I'm after the 2nd generation stamping. Kick it up, and we go right to the bottom. Good old press, so we were taking ink from all over the stamp. Sorry the camera moves when I'm doing this. And pick it up, got a lovely image, and we're going to go on to the 2nd one, do exactly the same thing, but it's going to be very, very light, which is what I want. I want a background, a proper background, but I want to be so I want to be able to see my Floral Curio images stamped over the top. And it really doesn't matter how light this is, as long as there's something there. So see how light that is? Really light. That's perfect. That's exactly what I want. So now we're going to go again. We only need to do the bottom section of the stamp. So we do to the clocks, I think. Make a mess if we do that, so let's get a piece of paper. That's where I was stamping before. Being side by side, perfect, absolutely perfect. Let's go up here. Lift up, and then do the same thing in the lighter 2nd generation. There we go. So you can see where I've got a little bit extra there, darker, where it didn't stamp on this one. So I must have obviously positioned the stamp a little bit lower. That doesn't matter because I don't need to use the top. But I've got this extra one that I can use at some point if I want to. Right, so then next I'm taking the 2nd size tag the first size tag, or the largest tag, will work. There's no design either side, so you could extend it if you wanted to, or once you ink around the edges you won't actually see that there's no background there, and of course we're going to stamp on top as well, so that doesn't matter. But what we're going to do is we're going to go for the next size down, and so you can see that that's going to cut perfectly out of there, and then we just hang that tag in there because we will need this reinforcer here, the second one, and you run it through your machine. Okay, so of course I've got one that I've done already, all cut out. So there's my one that I did before. You can see it's lovely and light, works really, really well. The reason I'm doing it with this rather than something like a shadow grey from Archival is that it is just so much easier to stamp with Versafine Clair. That's why. So the outer die, so this is the biggest but one of the outer dies, you can see that's going to create a beautiful mat for me like that. And then my reinforcer, which if I can pick up, is here. Cutting out again, got texture paste in my hand, cutting out again out of my pattern background. So I'm going to glue that in place now before I lose it. There's two ways to do it. You could actually put ink on your mat and then, sorry, not ink, glue on your mat and then dip it in, or you can actually just go around the edge. But it is a good idea to grab your tweezers and try and pick it up somewhere where there's not quite so much glue, and then just press off the excess so that you don't have it all seeping out, and then that fits beautifully over the hole. Like so. Okay, so as I said, this is Cool Slate from the premium cardstock. So now let's add to this. So we need to go into my stamping platform. Ignore all the mess on the background. There's nothing that hasn't been released that's on the background. And so let's do our bottom corner first. So what I do is because I can't butt this into the corner, I'm going to use the lines. So I'm on line 3 and line 19. I'll pop our magnets down like so. We'll do another one in a minute. And then we're going for Floral Curios Corsage corners first. And I am still going to stamp in the Morning Mist. So I've got a tickle. We're going to use the biggest corner in this set. Obviously, if you wanted to go down to the smaller size tags, then you could use the smaller one. And I think we're going to go right in this corner here. Oh, I want to keep some of that, some of this sort of sketchy line that there is. So don't forget, I will be inking around the edges as well. Give us an extra magnet. Pick this up. Now, I haven't used these for ages. I absolutely love these stamps. The corners are great for pattern building. And I think there is a video on my channel showing some pattern building. If not, then there's definitely a card sample on my website against the Floral Curios stamp set. This one, this is your Corsage corners. Give it good old inking because I've not used it for quite a long time. I'm hoping it won't stick. We'll see. I'm using the Press to Impress from Crescent. Make sure we get all those little dots. Perfect. Fabulous. And little border just on each edge, and that's perfectly dark enough. That's absolutely fine. I'm happy with that. So we'll fetch that out here, and we want to put something at the top as well, but we're not going for another corner because we've got a nice shape to that tag. So let's go for the Corsage Collage. So it doesn't really matter whether you use the Posy or the Corsage, because there are actually flowers on both sets that kind of marry up. And I think what we're going to do, my stack's nice and dirty, so I'll be able to see exactly where it's going to go. And we're going to put this at the top. These over. I think we're going to go this way. Let's see. I think that's going to work, or do we want to come down like that? Let's come down like that a little bit, so it's created another corner. Let's put magnet there and magnet there, and let's see how we get on with that. So you don't have to use the whole image. You could, see there's the tag. You could get most of the image on if you wanted to have it lengthways. That makes sense. I know what I mean. Let's get the other way out, and I might be able to show you a little bit better. So you see, you can get most of that on a tag anyway, and that would look absolutely fantastic. So you could use this background that I've got here and just use that. So there'd be another design that you can use. So once again, we're going with our Morning Mist. Remember, because this is first generation, it's darker than the background, which is second generation. Second generation or third generation just means that you've stamped it once or twice before. That's all it means. It's nothing hard or technical or anything like that. Pretty good old inking, especially on the splats. Love the splats. Do a good old press. Wobble the camera as always. No fancy setup here. Extra press on the splats. That splat's going off the page, unfortunately. Okay, let's see what this looks like. Ooh, fabulous. Look at that. I'm not going to go again, because if I went again then it would be darker than this one here, and I want it to look the same. Fabulous, absolutely fabulous. Obviously once I take it off of the sampling platform you'll be able to see a lot better how it looks. So that's our Corsage Collage. That goes down like that, there enough. It's nice to be able to use these again. I've been wanting tags from Phil for well over 12 months now, so I'm so pleased he's doing them now. Right, so I want to put a sentiment on here. So it's a bookmark, that's what it's going to be. And in the Rustic Typewriter Motivational Sentiments, there is this one that says, "This is your story." So I thought that would fit really well with a bookmark. Pop that down here. So I think we'll have it there. You could have it going down that way if you wanted to, which would be quite cool. But what I'm going to do is I've actually cut out, before I stamp this, let's figure out what we're doing. Using the Debossed Stitch Flags and Banners, I've used this wavy pair of dies and I've cut them together. And cutting them together means that you can actually cut yourself a frame. Actually, I quite like that at the jaunty angle rather than straight across. That kind of works for me. And it just means that without having a mat and a layer, that it doesn't make the bookmark too thick. My daughter absolutely loves reading, and she's quite big on BookTok, and she's got quite a lot of my tags that I've done, and she actually loves the fact that there's 2 layers to them, so they're thicker than your regular bookmark. Your regular bookmark would just be 1 card depth, but she actually loves the sturdiness of it. But we don't want to build it up too much if it's going to go into a book. So yeah, I think that's going to look quite good like that. So we'll do that. Sketch that up so we don't disturb our stamp. And we'll stamp our sentiment. I was thinking whether to put some of the extra stamps that you get in the corners. I was wondering whether to put some of these in here, but I think because we're going to be having the sentiment across and the frame around it, I don't think I'm going to. But you absolutely could, and you could actually overlap the design as well, which would be quite cool to do. I don't know, I might. I haven't made my mind up 100% yet. So this is Rustic Typewriter font, as I said, and so you might get the odd little spot or letter that's not, that's a little bit distorted, but that's part of the font, so you don't need to worry about that. Okay, this is your story, and then that will go round like that. Like so, that'll fit really nicely. So do we want to pull it in? Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it. Let's have this one here. Let's get rid of that in a minute. Hungry. Right, let's get rid of that. Let's have that down here. Got my other magnet down. Sticking with the grey for the morning mist. And I think we'll do one the other side as well. We might not do the same one. Sometimes I think it's nice to have something slightly different. Or shall we use the same one? I can't make my mind up. Yeah, let's use the same one. So we're going to use the acetate so we don't make a mess, because this has obviously had ink on it. And we're going to pull this down, and this is going to be, we can have it overlapping, we absolutely can. Let's have it overlapping our image a little bit. And then pick it up. And that way the ink goes on the acetate rather than on your card while you're faffing around trying to figure out where you want it. Unless you don't faff. I faff, obviously. Faffing's part of the fun, isn't it, really? And you've got, in some of the other sets, you've got like circles like coffee stains as well, so that would work really well. Love that. Absolutely love that. Right, so I think that's all my stamping done. I'm not going to do any more. You know when to stop, walk away from it. Okay, that's that. Let's fetch this out of here, and I'll show you how it looks so far. Because obviously you don't have to colour it in if you don't want to. I'm going to, but you don't have to. So if we were to pop it on here, like so, just to show you how it would look. Straighten up a little bit. And then obviously this will come on here. So that's how it is at the moment. Let's see if I can pick it up without moving it. That's how it is at the moment. But we're going to do a little bit of colouring. I'm going to start colouring, show you what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to pause, and then I'll come back and show you it all coloured in, because you don't want to watch me colour in the whole thing. That would be a bit boring. So we're going to use, I'm going to focus just on using set 2 of the watercolour blending brush pens, just set 2. If you can find them, I've got set 2 in stock. I've only got 2, 3 and 4. 1 I can't get hold of anymore. So, you know, if you haven't got them, you need to get them. So think about what colours you might want to use. So let's just use a corner or edge of this here, because we're not using all of this. So you can test your colours out on a piece of scrap card and you'll know how they're going to be. I quite like that one, that's quite nice. So I'm just going to go on, starting down here. You don't need to worry about the Versafine Clair, because it's not going to go anywhere, because once it's well, in fact before it's dry even, it's suitable for watercolours. So in fact I'll do that darker now. I've done that, I'll do that darker. So it's suitable, so it's not going to move. You don't want to stamp with a dye-based ink, so you don't want to stamp with a distress ink or an oxide and then do watercolour, because the water will actually disturb the distress ink. All the Wendy Becky's, the Make Art, don't use those either, because they're dye-based inks. Or Memento, they're no good either. So you want Archival or Versafine Clair, which are absolutely brilliant for watercolouring. You can of course use some of the dye-based inks and then add embossing powder to them, and once they're heat set then you can watercolour. So there are ways around it. So I'm just going to do that in a darker colour like that. Then we're going to take a water brush, and you do get 2 water brushes in each of the sets. That's too much water coming out of there now. And I'm just going to move that around. Now this is stamping card, it's not the Sentimentally Yours watercolour card, so it does move around a little bit differently to the watercolour card. The watercolour card is better, but it's a different colour, isn't it? It's the creamy colour, but that's fine. Give me a bit of colour. And then we're going to go over to this side here, and we're going to do, where's the flower on this? It's a big one, right in front of your nose, Julia, for heaven's sake. So we're going to do the same thing over here. I'll do these spots as well. I'm going to do the centre in a darker pink, which is why I didn't pull the colour out of that there. The colour definitely pulls out better. That's gone all pitted. That's really weird. Anyway, it's a different effect, isn't it? It does pull out better with the watercolour card. But you learn these things, don't you? I actually wanted bright white, that's what I wanted. But that'll learn me. Let's do that dark around there because it's underneath. You can blend the colours together as well, which I'll do in a moment. Which won't pit. It's just the water that's made it pit. It's a different texture. Weird. Very weird. So it's moving a little bit, but it's not moving a lot. Very weird. Sometimes you should just stick with what you know, shouldn't you? Put a bit more there. And then we go with the darker pink. So the darker pink's going to be That's very dark, actually. I'll do that in a minute so while the water's drying. So let's find one that we can blend together. Let's do the daisy. We need a daisy away from that one. Let's do this little daisy down here. And let's take, what have we got here? We've got 2 oranges. That's kind of a neon. What's this? That's a yellowy orange. Not a massive difference between those two there. So I am going to dip into another set. Let's dip into set 4. Because that has got different oranges in. That's a darker one. So that one and that one will work together nicely, I think. So which one is it? I think it was this one. No, it's that one. Okay, so let's just go for, I think that's pretty dry actually. Let's just go for this one here and hope that this blends out nicely. Just following the lines that Phil's drawn on the stamp, and then just bringing this lighter colour on top. A bit like the I've got an osteospermum in my garden at the moment, and that's kind of this bronzy colour. Quite lovely. Okay, so that's kind of blended together nicely, and then we can use like a brown on this set and put the brown in the middle. You could dot the dots and make them darker. So you've got the 2 colours together there. I don't know why this has gone all pitted. It's very strange. It's all raised now, which actually, you know, I actually quite like because it makes it more tactile, but it's not actually what I really wanted it to do. So what we'll do on this is we'll take the crescent like that, and we'll take a lighter pink. What colour is this? Yeah, we'll take a lighter one and we'll pull the lighter one. I think it works better on this card when you just use the pen direct. Like so. And I might put little bit. I'll tell you what I'll do. So we'll take a Sakura gel pen. This is, I think this is Pink Star. And we'll put some little pink dots, glittery dots, just around the edge. Sometimes they stop working, so if you kind of drop them on a separate piece of card, then they'll start again. We'll go around on this one. Like so. So now we've got a little bit of glitter on there as well. I might go in and pull another pink in there actually. That's a very pale pink. I think I want this one. Yes, that one. Let's put another pink in here because I'm not actually 100% happy with that. It hasn't pulled out like it would do on the watercolour card. I think that looks better. So you're not clever colouring in because this card doesn't take it. Okay, so for the leaves I would just do, let's see what we've got. We've got pale green. These will probably get mixed up now. And we've got a darker green. So we can take, just taking the veins. So, and you can even go around the edge if you want to. And take the lighter one. It should blend, but it's not blending very well. Okay, so I'm going to just carry on colouring in using the pens from these two sets, and then I'll show you what it looks like and we'll put it all together. So we're all coloured in now, and not 100% happy with my colouring because of the fact that the ink isn't moving on the card. So definitely next time I will be sticking with my Sentimentally Yours super smooth watercolour card. Anywho, so I've only used pens from set 2 and set 4, which you can get on my website, and plus that Pink Star Sakura pen. So you can see how it looks lovely on my tag, but I'm just going to edge this, and I can't decide whether to use antique linen or fossilised amber. And the rule of thumb is you use the lightest one first, and then if you don't like it you can go with the darker one. But obviously if you go for the darker one first you can't lighten it. And I haven't ever edged with antique linen before. Oh, I quite like this. So on a Woodware Blend It tool, which I tend to go for because the little sponges and the refills are a lot cheaper than using the smoothies. So this is Distress Oxide. I like to edge with an Oxide. It gives a different look to it, different feel to it. It just brings the whole thing together. I think I'm happy with that. I don't want to go darker, and obviously that's going to tie in with the kind of mustard colours that I've used on the roses from set 4 of the watercolour blending brush pens. Tied up on that, although you can't see it, there's definitely ink on there. Definitely ink. And we'll stick this down, and then we'll add, oh, let's see what happened to the card. Don't go there. It looks lovely, but it's just not, I know it's not as good as it would be if it was on the watercolour card. But you know, persevered rather than just scrap it and start again. I think it's an important lesson for us all to learn. Quite often this card does work. It could be, I tell you, I've got a theory. It could be because of my Versafine Clair stamp background in the background. It could be that. So it could do the same thing on the watercolour card. But, you know, I will experiment and I will find out. I don't know why I always put it on that way, because it's better to do it this way. Straight on so you can see. You get this little border around your little eyelet ring. reinforcer. Be careful when you push the back down that you don't actually run your fingers along the edge, because the card is actually has got a lip to it, because all die cuts have, and you might get a paper cut and you don't want that. And then we're just going to add, I mean it's lovely like that, but we're just going to add this little thing in the centre, this little frame, which was cut using the debossed stitched flags and banners, or banners and flags. And you should be able to see all the products I've used flashing up on the bottom of the page in YouTube. If not, there's a list in the description that I put. There's a lot of ums here. I'm trying to think and do. My brain doesn't work at the minute. I'm just going to dab some of this off. Dab some of the excess off. Don't leave it too long because it'll stick. And then figure out where we want that. We want it about there. Like so. And then all I would do would probably be to add some baker's twine through the little eyelet hole there, and we've got ourselves a bookmark. Down a bit. There we go. You can see. So just to recap what we've used, so you can get your pen out. This is your Crescent Top Layering Dies. Also the Debossed Stitch Flags and Banners. The Sunflower Parade Enchanting, which is second generation in the background. Floral Curios Corsage Corners. Floral Curios Corsage Collage. Motivational Sentiments from the Rustic Typewriter collection. And I've used pens from set 2 and set 4 from the Watercolour blending brush pens. The contrast card here is the Cool Slate, and I did all my stamping with Morning Mist Versafine Clair. As I said, you can find everything on my website for shipping to UK addresses, and also they're available at Honeypot Crafts as well. Do like and subscribe on my YouTube channel. I love to see your comments on there rather than on Facebook, because it's just nice to see them on YouTube, and because it helps me increase my audience, and that's always appreciated. So I just need to say thank you for watching, and do have a look at my other videos as well. Bye for now.